Hello, everyone. Welcome along to another episode of Championship Drill with myself, with Phil, and with Jerry. The last one before the international break. So, good one though. A good show coming up. A lot of talking points yesterday, and then sadly an international break to end all the momentum the league has built up. And some clubs will love it, other clubs won't, and we can talk about that as we go along here as well today. 11 games in total yesterday.
Four were played because there was an FA Cup game.
In the FA Cup match, and they got beaten in that one, hammered by Southampton, so they're out of that now. I suppose some clubs won't mind the international break. Other clubs are going to be dreading it, especially some of the bigger clubs, the likes of Norwich, we can come on to later, who have a lot of international players that'll be leaving.
Yeah.
So we'll wait and see. We move in. I suppose we may as well start with the early kickoff yesterday. Brentford, Nottingham Forest. 1-1 in this one. Brentford, 2 points drop. Great performance by Brentford, really. They looked like they were trying to hit Forest on the break almost.
Yeah.
Throughout the game. But they made one mistake at the back, and Forest took advantage of it. Credit to Forest for that. And so it finished 1-1. The lead, I suppose, came through Tony penalty after he was fouled himself. Very soft.
That was very soft, yeah.
I mean, he was grabbing him, all right, but there's not enough to bring someone with Tony's strength to the ground.
No.
Anyway, he took the penalty away. 28 goals now for the season. Wembo had a chance that he dragged wide. And,
he should have scored that in Wembo. That was a shocker.
Yeah. Bad miss. Kravanovic then equalised after it was a mistake by Winston Reid at the back, really. Failed to deal with a cross. Chris had a shot deflected wide. And, that was about it. I think Goddard had one that went wide as well with the keeper beaten. And Christie made another block as well.
I worry for Brentford, Steve, with that result. I really do. I know they have a game in hand, but I think that's the turning point. I think that's the second spot gone for them. I really do. I think the fact they obviously have a game in hand, but Watford are kind of so far ahead now in second. They needed 6 points from the game in hand and to beat Nottingham Forest. I think now they're in a playoff battle. You know what I mean? And you just don't know, like with the heartbreak of last season, you don't know is that going to be it, like.
Yeah, sadly, I don't like Watford because of all the stuff that went down with them, but they're going to finish second.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like we said about Watford already, and we can come to it again later when we talk about them. 2 tough games to end the season for Watford. They're away to Brentford and then home to Swansea. So, still, tough games for Watford. They could easily lose both of those.
But they can come back after the international break and lose as well. So
that's it. I mean, they're on a good run. Norwich were on a good run. Like Barnsley were on a good run up until yesterday. The international break. Who knows?
Yeah, it's as I said, it's Brentford are my team this year. I've enjoyed watching them all season. I think they're in trouble. I think the fact that they're fourth, they have a game in hand. Obviously, they can leap into third. But look, they're not in trouble, obviously. But look, I don't think they're going to get that second spot.
No, but if they can keep that gap to about 3-4 points before they play Watford, that could be a huge game, second last game of the season.
Yeah,
definitely
huge. But overall, I thought Forest played, after the Norwich game, they were so much better.
Yeah, a lot better. But it was almost like Brentford let them have the ball.
Yeah, I still can't believe that miss though. That miss where he hit it off. There was no keeper. He should score.
Yeah. Christie, great defending by Cyrus Christie actually looked really good for Forest yesterday.
Yeah, he's been very good. Like Christie's probably still got the the standard to play in the Premier League. I think he was with Fulham for a while, and I know he might have been at Derby or somewhere. But Christie's a good player. He's always done well in the Irish shirt too.
Did Garner get man of the match?
Yeah, I think he might have done.
Yeah, he was quite good.
Yeah.
But but like I said, 2 points dropped. Forest, any point down near the bottom is going to help them at the moment.
Yeah.
Because we'll come to that. The next 2 matches, there was some crazy movement down at the bottom that's going to really drag teams into it, I suppose. So we might as well start with Barnsley. Rare defeat these days, but really, really determined Sheffield Wednesday. They had 2 shots on target, 2 goals. Big derby game, obviously, this one as well. Not much distance between Barnsley and Sheffield. Rhodes gave Wednesday the lead from Bannon's cross. Bannon very good as well yesterday. and he tapped in the second after nice work from Windass. It's his first time Rhodes has scored 2 goals in a game in over 2 years. And then Morris pulled one back for Barnsley with 12 minutes left, and they had a late free kick that their captain Mo had hit that went just over. And I suppose, Phil, you'll be delighted that his red card from the other night was quashed.
They're a scandalous decision.
Yeah.
But the thing is, like, Jordan Rhodes, like, he came up, like, they were saying he would be the next Alan Shearer for years.
Yeah.
Like, but now he's starting to score, so Wednesday now are actually the most dangerous team down there.
They are, because we look at it here now and we see 3 big points, obviously, for them. There's 6 points from safety with a game in hand.
Yeah.
So they win that, they'll be 3 points behind Birmingham. And like you said, if they can start winning a couple of matches, it can all turn around very, very quickly.
But the thing is, not many of them have goal scorers, like, and he's been I think he scored as well in the last game.
Yeah.
If you look at the goal difference, right? Obviously, you're looking at the bottom 4, right? Like Birmingham are minus 22 on the goal difference, where Sheffield Wednesday are 19. So like they're kind of the equivalent. But like, what's annoying me about the whole thing, lads, is that like Rotherham have 4 games in hand. It takes the balls a little bit. Like, you're looking at that table, right? Birmingham are just above them. Obviously, Wednesday are below them.
Yeah.
So you have to really look at Birmingham, Coventry, and Derby.
They're all in trouble.
Yeah, where Rotherham, if they win two games, they leapfrog all them teams. So it's for a spectacle, it's not great. But yet again, it's Wednesday. They could still survive. You know what I mean? It's like they had a point deduction and there was things there. I know your mate Steve is obviously a big Wednesday fan as well. Like, but it would be a catastrophe if they got relegated.
Yeah.
I was looking at the pictures there, right? And they showed all their April games for Rotherham. There's nowhere Coventry can play them. There's no gap. They need to play Coventry.
And that's what I'm saying. That's why I was like half joking that they may end up playing a game every day for the last week of the season.
Yeah, it's never happened before. We've never ever seen this in football where there's a team that have 4 or 5 games in hand. It's never been done. Like, it's. Do you know what I mean? I could be wrong. Like maybe back in the 50s and the 40s when the World War was on and all that. I don't know. Like, but it's just. It takes them. You know what I mean? It's you're looking at that bottom table and you're normally sweating. You have a few bets with the lads and stuff. You cannot bet because they have 4 games in hand. It's just. It's hard to talk about, really. Like,
and their away performances are unbelievably good.
Yeah, like I want them to stay up. I really do. But when I look at Coventry and I look at teams like Sheffield Wednesday and all these teams, like Coventry is a team I want to stay up. But
I think they will.
I mean, you just don't know what's happening. Like, it's mad.
It's going to be mad down the bottom. I wonder, is it going to, like you said, Phil, it's hard to fit in 4 extra games for them.
Well, no, I was looking at it because I was watching Quest and they actually brought it all up where they're actually going to play them. But it was the Coventry game they couldn't fit in.
But that's what I'm wondering. And if another game gets called off for whatever other reason, like Rotherham could end up playing a game or 2 after everybody else has finished the league.
Yeah, but they were actually saying that's not allowed last year.
But they have to figure out a way. They can't have them play 4 games in a week.
They might be playing. It might be a case of a Friday, a Monday, and a Friday.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see where they try and fit them in.
We should try and get a statement from Rotherham to see what the story is. They might be able to know what's actually happening. Because look, the FA could just turn around and say we're going to avoid them. Don't give a shite. Do you know what I mean?
Not true.
It's mad.
Yeah, it's a strange one.
I don't think we'll ever see this situation ever again.
No, a shortened season as well, so less chance.
No, they were saying that they're not allowed to play any of the games in May last night.
Yeah, they say that, but then things change as they've had to do this season. Even though they're not really allowed to do it. If Rotherham end up getting 2 more games postponed for whatever reason, if one of the teams they're supposed to play gets COVID outbreak or something, you're going to have to fit them in somewhere. It's going to be interesting to see because it is, like Jerry said, down the bottom. You have no idea what's going on. You've got to almost count it that Birmingham are the team in the bottom 3.
Yeah.
So while we're talking about Rotherham, might as well talk about their game yesterday. Good 2-0 win away from home. Like you said, Phil, they're good away from home.
Yeah, although their 2 goals, they are suspect defending.
A little bit suspect defending. I suppose we talked about it on Friday that If Rotherham scored first, they'd have a good chance because Bristol aren't really playing for much. Bristol, nice short corner routine between O'Dowd and Walsh almost led to the opener. Woods got rid of that. And then Wells fired one over. And that was probably as good as it got for Bristol. Dominated the ball, did nothing with it. Rotherham had 25 positive tests in the last few weeks.
That's mad.
Which is mad, isn't it? It took the lead against the run of play, really, when Smith rose to meet Harding's cross. And like we said, like we mentioned there, they scored first. They had a good chance. In the second half, they were a lot better. Michael Lahike getting the goals for them. I suppose Wells had an effort to go over. And Smith almost got a second for Rotherham as well, but he hit the side netting.
I think Bristol say now just want to get to the end of the season and get new players.
Yeah, it seems that way. They'll be the manager will be happy enough with the first half, but not so much the second half.
Yeah.
Like we talked about, Rotherham have to win their games in hand. There's no point in having games in hand if you don't win them. But to win yesterday when Birmingham lose, I mean that's massive because now the gap is 3 points with 4 games in hand.
Yeah.
So interesting.
Interesting.
I think the international break, good time for Rotherham so that they can get over this COVID outbreak.
Yeah. Definitely.
And like you said, Bristol are just, trying to play out the season really and rebuild for next year.
Exactly.
So we'll see. Then we move on to nil-all draw. 2 teams really down at the bottom as well, Coventry and Wycombe.
This is very, very poor.
Very bad game. Wycombe are 11 points from safety, and Coventry are 4 points above the drop, which is only 1 point better off than Birmingham. Coventry probably the better of the game. They had more possession. They had the better chances. Hammer put one wide when he really should have scored.
He should have scored, yeah.
And Biamu pounced on a bad mistake at the back, and he kind of hit it more or less straight at Stockdale. It wasn't great. It wasn't a great game. I think Wycombe nearly nicked it at the end. But not a lot to say about that one, really. Not a draw doesn't really do either team any good.
No. Just being, as you say, look, when you put the 2 teams on a piece of paper, like, Coventry have been a more attacking team where Wycombe haven't really rolled over all season. Like, they've been, there's been a couple of thumpings, but look, I think Coventry will be gutted that they didn't come away with the 3 points given such a vital stage of the season. Wycombe, realistically, I think they will go down. Unfortunately, you know what I mean. They've had I wouldn't say a decent season, but look, they've not been trashed and they haven't been kicked about. So it's a shame to see them go back down to League One if that happens. But
their losses have actually been 2-1 or 1-0.
Yeah, you know what I mean. They're probably the unluckiest side in the championship this season. Like we spoke about that, you know what I mean. It's something that we've reflected on in so many episodes. But yet again, you know what I mean. Coventry have been brilliant. I want to see Coventry stay up. This whole Rotherham thing that we spoke about there moments ago, lads. It's awful for Birmingham and Coventry and Derby to look at that and say, look, they have 4 games in hand. We don't know what's going on.
But last season it was similar. Like there was big controversy as well. They were all waiting for the points deducted to come in.
From Wednesday, that eventually kept Barnsley up, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Look there now.
Premier League next year. Whoa.
But if you think about that with Wycombe, though, like they'll keep most of that squad together, you'd imagine.
Yeah.
Go back there.
Definitely, yeah.
And Rotherham have kind of been a team that have kind of gone up and down a couple of times.
Yeah.
And maybe Wycombe can be that kind of a team that need to get back up next season, maybe the season after, and then just try and survive. Then when they're a bit better equipped for it.
If Rotherham can survive, like with the players they have, that young product, like you know what I mean, and Ogabeni coming back, Salier, obviously kind of trying to get back to full match fitness, they could be be up, you know what I mean, top half of the table. But look, it's you know what I mean. They have these games in hand. If they can do something with them, brilliant. You know what I mean. But we don't know they're going to be playing 4 games in a week. You know what I mean. That's the way it's looking.
Yeah, absolutely. We move along to Middlesbrough chasing that playoff place. Bad result for them after they lost 1-0 to Millwall. A Hall OG. Wallace put the cross in. Hall turned it into his own net. Wallace had a great chance before that. Bentonelli with a save. Burrell responded well. Saville had an effort block. Paddy McNair had an effort that was well saved by the keeper. McNair has been very good going forward recently. Then Bettinelli made another good save from Bud Larson to deny Millwall 2-0. But then Akpom, Balassi, Fletcher, Watmore, they all had good chances for Borough, but half chances really. So good win for Millwall, who look like, clearer too, like we've always said, they could be dangerous. Millwall are only 10 points off the playoffs, but they've drawn 16 matches this season. Like they must really be thinking this could have been so much better. Borough now 6 points off the playoffs with 8 games left. Yeah. So they're going to have to win at least 6 or 7 of those last 8 games, you'd think.
And I can't see that happening.
Yeah, they took a good gamble on Troy Parrott, lads. Look, Troy Parrott's a great player, and obviously when he went to Millwall, we were saying, like, this guy's going to score goals. Unfortunately, it didn't happen for him, but if Parrott happened to get, like, 8 or 9 goals, they'd probably be in the playoff right now, you know what I mean? Like, it's hard to sack a manager or give a manager a shite when you're drawing games to the law, because defensively they're probably one of the best in the championship. But it's one of them things you need results. You know what I mean? And just saying it for argument's sake, if Troy Parrott was shooting and he was scoring goals, then Millwall would be definitely in the top half. You know what I mean? No doubt about it. They'd be in the playoff. It's
definitely. Should like turn about 5 of those wins from the draws. Do you know what I mean?
And they're 6th or 7th if you were to do that. Like.
No one flinched in regards to Troy Parrott. When Troy Parrott went there, lads, we all said it. He's going to score goals. So look, it's just one of them things. It just didn't work out. And you know what I mean? They'll be back with a proper striker, next season. Not saying that Troy Parrott's not a proper striker. He's a worldly, but look, you know what I mean?
Yeah. And if you look at Borough, though, when Warnock came in, like his job was keep him up last season, basically. And this year, going into the start of the season, that would have been kind of the aim, would have been to kind of end up mid-table, would have been a good season for Borough.
Yeah.
So the fact that they are pushing for the playoffs just shows like what an achievement it really has been since Warnock took over.
Yeah, unreal. Still, one of the greatest English managers ever. Like I seen a statistic the other day that there's never been an English manager that's won the Premier League, right? You know what I mean? It's put Warnock in the Premier League with Borough and they'll win the Premier League. He's that kind of a guy, you know what I mean? He's a Bobby Robson, do you know what I mean? He's just legendary when it comes to managers, you know what I mean? This guy.
And he was saying something about he regrets not joining Chelsea years ago.
He's an elite, lads. Look, Warnock's up there with Wenger. He's up there with Robson, do you know what I mean? He's up there with Brian Clough. Like to me, he's an all-time great.
Like he's probably the greatest manager now that's alive right now that's managing still.
Yeah. And always good for an interview.
Unbelievable. Popcorn galore.
Even at his age, though 72 or whatever it is, he still has some energy.
Go back there to try Parrott before we move on. He had no goals for Millwall.
No goals, and I think he scored 1 since he's gone to Ipswich, which was essentially a tap-in.
Yeah, football is crazy, but when, as you say, lads, when we go to Millwall, when they signed Troy Parrott, we all said, that's a great move. Look, this guy's going to bag in 10, 11 goals. If Parrott scored 11 goals, Millwall would be in a playoff spot right now. They were just lacking that striker, you know what I mean?
And like we said, sometimes you have a guy that can't stop scoring underage, and when they make into the senior team, something just doesn't click for him.
Yeah,
I think you even look at the likes of Brewster that Liverpool sold to Sheffield United. I don't think he scored a goal for them in over 30 matches.
He's like.
Just continue with Troy Parrott there at Ipswich, right? Paul Cook just took over Ipswich, so he might get the best out of him.
Yeah, someone, like he's got all the ability. It's just maybe it's a confidence thing, and
Mourinho shy to him. Mourinho's probably dampening everyone's confidence, but
maybe who knows?
As you say, guys, it's Millwall are a great team, right? They've been frustrating to talk about all season because we know how good they are. Defensively, they are unbelievable, but as you say, Steve, you know what I mean? It's just that final product up front was not there. They took a big gamble, you know what I mean? And in areas it wasn't a gamble. Troy Parrott was destined to score goals. He could go back there in 2 years and score goals, but it just didn't happen this time around. Yeah. And you know what I mean? They've been very unlucky.
Very unlucky, yeah. He never really got going. I think the injury kind of stalled him a little bit.
He only played like 12 games as well.
Yeah, I think he got injured, didn't he, very early on there, and didn't miss a lot of the start of the season. So we move on then to the league leaders. Norwich drew yesterday with Blackburn 1-1. Norwich had not won 10 games in a row for 35 years coming into this one, and they had 9 in a row coming into this. So sadly, they couldn't make it 10 in a row again.
The manager was not happy with how they played yesterday.
No, they weren't brilliant.
But it
McLean gave
was
them.
it was more of they didn't take chances and they were trying to pass it in.
It was one of those. Yeah, McLean gave them the lead, and it looked like they were going to win because they looked very good. Cantwell hit the post, like you said. Kaminsky made one of the saves of the season to tip Beneda's shot onto the bar.
Oh,
So I
yeah.
can understand the manager not being happy, but I mean, you don't get saves like that every day.
No.
Blackburn a bit better today, though. I mean, recently they've been kind of a bit, going through the motions. The season coming to an end. They tested Krull a couple of times. I think Elliott was on the bench. He came on. Really, really nice free kick.
Yeah.
That he took for Sam Gallagher, back post, defending absolutely questionable at the back post. I think there was 2 of them on him.
Yeah.
And I don't even think they jumped with him.
No. He didn't even jump. He just kind of headed it in.
Yeah. So I'm sure the manager was not happy with defending for the Blackburn equaliser either. Norwich 8-point lead at the top. Despite the draw, late chances to win it again. Beneda, Pookie, Stipperman, they all had good chances. But I suppose Blackburn, young side, they'll probably want to end the season on a high because they're young players to give them a bit of confidence for next season. Norwich, though, Giannoulis and Ben Gibson both went off with injuries. The Gibson one in particular looked nasty. And like we said earlier, Norwich have a lot of internationals going away now as well. So they'll be hoping that most of them come back fit and healthy and ready to go for the run.
That they don't ban them because a lot of Premier League teams are not allowing their players to go abroad.
Yeah. I suppose it depends on the games they're playing as well, aren't they? Like Ireland are playing World Cup qualifiers, aren't they?
Well, I think it's the United League.
The Nation League qualifier things. They've like Serbia and whoever else they're playing. Luxembourg, yeah. I mean, Jesus. If they can't score goals against Luxembourg, they might as well retire.
They'll probably lose against Luxembourg.
And they've declared in the friendly, which I don't understand this friendly at all.
The friendly is ridiculous. Adding in a friendly when they're playing 2 games that are kind of semi-competitive matches, you'd say.
Yeah.
The other 2, the friendly matches make no sense because you're going to have players playing 3 games in a week for their country, which is madness.
I know they probably play like Queven Kelleher in that game.
Yeah.
Well,
I think they have to. I think there's injuries, isn't there? Goalkeeper for Ireland.
Westwood was obviously we're going to go like Westwood was the guy that was supposed to come in.
Yeah.
I think he's got a broken rib or something. There's some injury there. There's something anyway. But it's as you said. That's like a friendly makes no sense given the fact we've had a lockdown, a pandemic, no real pre-season, rush back into the league. We're going to see all these players retire in their early 30s. I'm telling you, it's grueling. Do you know what I mean? They need a proper wind down this summer, and they're not going to get that. Do you know what I mean? Because a lot of guys are going to be off playing in
the Euros. Yeah,
it's crazy. You know what I mean?
And then they'll have 3 weeks after the Euros, and the leagues are back. So
frightening. Frightening. No, they get paid well, lads. Don't get me wrong. They're on great money, like you know what I mean. But it's
going to be a strange one. It's going to, and I suppose we hope all the players come back fit and healthy. You never know. We move on into Preston. Poor Preston.
This is actually a weird one because they haven't won in 10 games.
Yeah, like we said, they won 3-0. We can remember, and everyone thought, they've turned the corner, and they haven't won since.
But they're now 9 points off relegation.
Yeah, I mean, it's trouble. I know Jerry was calling for James Collins.
Rotherham and Birmingham win their games, like they're in trouble.
Yeah, like I know Jerry was calling for Collins to play. He didn't start, but they did play the 2 up front yesterday. Collins came on. Dewsbury Hall had a shot that was saved by the keeper. Collins was there for the rebound, rounded the keeper, slotted it in.
By the way, he meant that what he done there.
Oh, he did, yeah. He totally meant it.
Yeah.
It was a really nice finish the way he took it. So he gets an away goal for Luton. They don't score many away goals.
He went down as an OG.
Yeah, I give that to Collins all day long. They don't score many away goals. So,
but they always win 1-0, don't they?
They get a lot of 1-0 wins. They're tough to beat at home. But if you look at it, very, very solid season. They have 50 points with a game in hand over most teams above them. I think they could go level with Millwall if they win the game in hand. Really, really good season for Luton.
Yeah.
Nathan Jones is a great manager, great manager. Yeah. And lads, don't get me started with Preston. Seriously, you know what I mean?
I don't think there's any more. People can just listen back to every other podcast in the last 5 or 6 weeks because it's been the same story every week with them. Maguire came on as a late sub. He had a shot from tight angle And then Potts had one that was easily saved as well. Or the Maguire one saved. Potts put
I
his
reckon
wide.
he's going to be there now till the end of the season, sadly.
Yeah. But he's got to go. The fans were not happy yesterday. Not even in the losing. It's just they don't look like they're going to win a game.
Yeah.
No.
And there was fans yesterday worried, saying if he stays, we're going to be relegated. And like you said, Phil, they're 9 points from relegation.
But if the lads start winning games down the bottom, they're in big trouble.
They could be. Like if you look 4 games time, if Preston say only pick up 1 draw in those 4 games, and the other lads start winning 2 or 3, suddenly you're 3 or 4 points above relegation.
I know they have
with 4 or
44
5
points.
games to go.
I know they have 44 points, and that's usually enough.
Yeah, but not necessarily in the championship. It depends how it goes, you know.
They're frustrating, Matt. Yet again, look, they've given me a headache all season.
Yeah.
And you know what I mean? I love the club to bits, given the whole Irish connection, Cork connection. But like they're just all over the shop. All over the shop. They're not getting hockey, do you know what I mean? It's just these 1-0 defeats, 2-0 defeats, 2-1s. Alex Neil always said it, great manager, but look, he's just not meant to be at Preston, do you know what I mean? It's not working out for him. I know Alan Brown was missing. Do you know what I mean? That's a big loss there, obviously. Do you know what I mean? Van der Berg is a decent player. But like, you know what I mean? When you look at the likes of Maguire on the bench, you know, Andy Gordon, not taking nothing away from him, like, you know what I mean? He's a good young lad. He's going to be good. Like Daniel Johnson, Chad Evans, Scott Sinclair, like Sinclair lads. Like, you know what I mean? What a grace, what a fall. Like, you know, for a fella that was at Man City, you know, dominant at Celtic. These guys are not pulling away. Like Brad Potts, decent, you know what I mean? Maguire came on, but look.
Well, like, what can you actually see as a manager after every game you lose like this?
I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, he seems to just. It's almost like he says that, oh, they're unlucky every single time. I think the tactics he uses and the way he talks about the defeats is what annoys the fans more than anything else. When it comes to Preston.
Yeah.
With him.
That makes sense.
I think if he came out after the match and said, look, we were awful today, the players need to do better, and he started calling out the players more.
Yeah.
Which is always a dangerous thing to do. But there's something not right at Preston, that's for sure.
No. Do you know what I mean? You know what I mean? Even that connection there with Cork City, they were going to buy Cork City, and there's something going on there, all right? You know what I mean? It's maybe it'll come out when you see. Yeah.
Maybe. Move on to Reading, QPR 1-1 in this one as well. Bit of a derby game, this, I suppose you could say. Reading not too far from London. Reading were unlucky, yeah. QPR took the lead when Dykes tapped in, I don't know, about 6 yards out or something, just before half time. Reading upped it in the second half. They had a goal ruled out for offside. I didn't quite see it from the line. You probably saw it better than I did, Phil.
Yeah.
Obviously, it was a rebound. The defender ran in and tucked it away, but he was offside for the initial shot, I'm guessing.
Can't see the lines properly in the championship, so.
Yeah, I mean, it looked close to me when I saw it.
It looked on.
In real time.
It looked on.
Yeah.
But they did score like 2 minutes afterwards.
They did. Mite, I think he scored 3 in the last 3 or 4 games since he came back from injury.
The keeper was very poor for the goal.
Yeah, for the goal. But Joe was put clean through as well. Yeah. Rounded the keeper and then put it wide.
Yeah.
His form has taken a dip the last few weeks for a guy that's
the whole team is
over 20 goals this season.
This international break might actually help him this time.
It might do. It might help Reading this time because, like I said, he must have over 20. He has over 20 goals this season.
He does, yeah.
So that's not a chance he'd have missed a few weeks back.
No.
Reading are going to need to do more, though, you'd say. Like you said, they were unlucky not to win yesterday. A few good saves as well. But they're now just 3 points ahead of Bournemouth, who have a game in hand because they didn't play yesterday. QPR stay 12th in the table, and you'd imagine they'll finish somewhere between like 12th and 14th this season.
Yeah, they will, yeah. Which is kind of where we kind of thought they would be mid-table at the start.
Yeah, and they'll look to improve again next season. Like that's an improvement kind of on last season in terms of they were in trouble for a while last season.
Yeah.
They kind of clawed their way out of it at the end, playing well. So, you know, they'll be happy enough if they can finish, 11th, 12th, 13th, and then next season look to push on.
Definitely. It's I did say they were going to drop out Reading. No, they done well yesterday. They almost won the game, but look, I think it's only a matter of time before they nip out of that top 6. And it'll be heartbreaking because they've been in it pretty much all season, but I'm looking at the likes of Bournemouth there now, lads. Game in hand, you know what I mean? If they win that game, they're on 62 points and they nip ahead of Reading on goal difference, so.
Yeah, that's it. Move on, I suppose, to an awful match.
Yeah, like the thing as well with this one, Stoke versus Derby. Derby hadn't had a shot on goal, not one shot on goal.
No, nothing. Woeful match. Stoke, I think, had one effort in the first half. I think Stoke had 71% possession in the first half, and they had one effort. And Derby had nothing. It was just so bad.
Derby have really, really hit rock bottom now at the moment.
Yeah, it's kind of the issues we talked about a few weeks ago that Kaku had at the start of the season. They've loads of the ball, but they do nothing with it.
Yeah.
They don't create any good chances.
Yeah, and the thing is now Kazim Richard looks burned out as well.
Yeah.
I suppose confidence, definitely down to confidence, Steve. You know what I mean? There's something, you know what I mean? They're lacking. They could have gone a bit behind. They won a couple of games, but something happened. You know what I mean? Someone must have jinxed the confidence, or you know what I mean? They just look like a team that they will not do nothing.
I think they lost like 3 or 4-0 recently. That I'd say that took it out of them.
Hit them a bit, yeah. I suppose the goal came from Nicky Powell, who's probably the only good player on the pitch yesterday.
Yeah.
Picked out a really nice cross for Brown. Knight will be very disappointed. He just let him run on him. Yeah. He didn't really respond to the cross at all, and Brown put it in. Like we said, Derby looked safe not long ago, and now they're in a massive relegation fight, especially with Rotherham and Sheffield Wednesday winning.
Yeah.
Like, I must say, Obi Mikel lads and Joe Allen were immense for Stoke. They were brilliant. They were kind of a bit of a spark like the old days, you know what I mean?
Yeah, Stoke are very good at home, but away from home, they're not good.
They're very poor away from home. It's about 11 or 12
I think that's their win out of 5 at home.
Yeah. And, they played better, Stoke. They deserved to win, but again, they lack creativity themselves yesterday, other than Powell, you'd say, was the really only creative player on the pitch all day.
Yeah.
Stoke, though, are going to have an interesting summer. I'd say their squad is very old.
Yeah, the area.
Yeah.
And you've a lot of players closer to the end of their careers than the beginning of it. It's going to be interesting to see what Stoke do in the summer with some of those older players, whether they're offering them then new deals or, trying to move a few of them on and bring in some younger players.
Yeah. Well, you're looking at the likes of Obi Mikel and Joe Allen. Like, they could be out the gap. Like, Joe Allen could go back to Swansea, or he might go back to Cardiff or somewhere. Like, Obi Mikel, you just don't know. You know what I mean? Like, Nick Powell, there might be 1 or 2 teams there after him. Jacob Brown, not bad. Danny Batt, Chester's going to be around the block a while. Like, but yeah, as you say, Stoke looks great on the CV, lads. Great club to play for.
Yeah.
No, we always have the stories about playing away. Georgie and the lads, we always on about an away game in Stoke on Trent is not great because of the whole wind and all that kind of stuff. You know what I mean? You just wonder, but look, they need to invest. Now, will they have funds next year? We don't know after all that's happened. But yeah, it's just if I was Stoke, I'd be going after like some of the big boys in the Championship if they're not going to go for the Premier League. Like the likes of Adam Armstrong and Tony. But look, it's clear as daylight these guys are Premier League bound. You know what I mean? So it's going to be tricky for them. Yeah.
Very, very hard for Stoke, all right. Yeah, like I said, I don't think they have much money, but we'll see. They can't rely on, the old lads are going to break down eventually, and they have so many of them.
Yeah.
They need to bring in younger players. Maybe they'll do it through loan deals from the Premier League. Who knows?
Definitely.
Something like that next season. Watford, Birmingham yesterday.
Yeah, I actually thought Birmingham would be on a high after what happened.
Yeah,
with the
but
game.
It was just one team way better than the other team, really, yesterday.
Yeah.
Pedro had a shot saved by Edridge early on. The rebound fell to Surma. He took the way. There was 4 minutes gone, and Birmingham were in trouble. Once you concede that early, because then you've got to go for it a bit. And Watford are so good at picking you off.
Exactly.
Chaloba made 2-0 from Gosling's cross on 55 minutes. Then pretty poor play in the midfield. Gave the ball to Gray. Nice goal from Gray. I enjoyed it. Ran clear. Loads of time to think about what he was going to do. Made it 3-0. It was just one team were better. 5 in a row now for Watford in terms of wins. 9 out of the last 10. Bit of control, like we were talking earlier, of the second spot. But those 2 tough games to end the season, and Watford are one of those teams that are just not happy. I'd say there's a break coming.
Yeah, exactly. I was just going to say that. Like the next game now, they'll probably draw or lose.
Yeah. Birmingham, real trouble though.
Yeah.
Despite the high, I mean.
Yeah, I thought they might do. I actually thought they might have got something out of this one.
Yeah, but if you look at Rotherham, if you say Rotherham go above them, if Rotherham were to win 2 of those 4 games in hand, say Rotherham would only be 3 points ahead of Birmingham, which isn't that much. Yeah. Coventry are only 1 point ahead of Birmingham. Derby aren't that far away from them. Huddersfield, who knows what Huddersfield are going to do for the last 8 games of the season.
Yeah, that's it exactly.
So
Cardiff was really good again yesterday.
Yeah. I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see like what these teams do when they do come back from the international breaks.
Yeah.
Because Watford are on such a high, they really don't want their players now to be going away, playing all over Europe. But
yeah,
no, that's what's when you're one of the big teams in the championship. Sadly, you tend to have a lot more internationals that do leave. So
you know what I mean. And it's like I know you touched basically, but it's so dangerous because like they're all traveling to different parts of the world. You know what I mean?
all right, I suppose we move on to the big derby game. A few derbies yesterday, but the big one yesterday evening. The Welsh derby, Swansea against Cardiff. Massive win for Cardiff as they're chasing the playoffs. They're 4 points off now after winning this. 2 defeats in a week for Swansea, though. Cardiff scored the only goal of the game through Aidan Flint after just 8 minutes. And a stat for you here, Aidan Flint has 38 goals since 2014. That's the most by any defender in either the Premier League or any of the football leagues.
Yeah. Nice.
So,
nice.
Yeah, 38 goals from a defender.
That's crazy.
In 7 seasons, across 7 seasons, is some going.
Unbelievable.
You know, Cardiff looked really dangerous on all the set pieces, especially the long throws, which are always tough to defend. But Moore should have made it 2-0.
Like when it was there first so early on, I thought it was going to be a good game, like proper goal-scoring game.
It looked by half time like Cardiff should have been 3-0 up, like really.
Yeah.
But they weren't. And then Ayew hit the inside of the post for Swansea. Yeah. You know, Cardiff probably should have been ahead, like I said here, before they, taking their chances. But then Swansea, as you'd expect, piled on the pressure. Didn't create an awful lot, though.
No, they were very good second half. They were very good.
They were very good, but there was a lot of great defending from Cardiff. Great blocks, especially by some of the defenders in there.
Yeah.
Whitaker had a bad miss. Lowe had an effort saved by Phillips when he found space in the box. Should have done better there, I think.
Yeah.
Lowe, because he was, he somehow got himself on the ball, turned nicely, but just couldn't beat the goalkeeper.
Yeah. Overall, Cardiff should be very happy with the win.
Very, very happy. And it was a proper derby kind of feel to it, especially near the end of the game when the game was pretty much played inside in Cardiff's half for the last 15 minutes.
Yeah.
With the defenders were just throwing their bodies in front of everything. And I suppose Mick will be delighted with that kind of commitment from the players.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And a huge fight. Just again, pity there wasn't a crowd there because it would have just added a bit more. And to be honest, Swansea might have equalised if a crowd had been there.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I was going to say that. Yeah, true. Horan got injured in this.
What's that?
Horan got injured in this game.
Yeah, that was kind of early on, wasn't it? Horan went off pretty early.
First 20 minutes.
Yeah. So I imagine he's going to be pulled out the Ireland squad now.
You feel for Stephen Kenny, lads, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
You're lucky players manager of all time, I'd say.
Yeah, but and again, if Horan's missing, we don't know how bad the injury is, but it's bad enough to take him off the pitch pretty early on.
Yeah.
So who knows? Might have been a precaution. Who knows what it was? But if he's missing for a few games for Swansea, he's been really good for them since he came in. So he'll be a huge loss.
Yeah,
especially for that title. Yeah, definitely.
I mean, again, maybe it's a good time for a break for Swansea after losing 2 games in a week.
Yeah, a break is definitely going to help them.
Yeah, like as you said, look, we've seen them in that third position, and they're like, you know what I mean. They had an opportunity to break into that top 2, but they haven't taken advantage of that. So, you know what I mean. How is their confidence staying in? You know, like obviously they're looking good to stay in the playoffs and all that, but look, it's a major blow in the camp. I'd say a lot of them are grinding their teeth now as we speak, you know.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting one. And like we said, again, their last game of the season is against Watford. So if they're within touching distance in that last game, it could be some final day at both the top and the bottom.
Yeah,
it'll be huge. You know what I mean? Like yet again, you look at that top 6. Norwich have deservedly been the team of the season. Do you know what I mean? Watford, you know what I mean? They took an awful dip in form. They turned it around. I guess they all just had a look around in the dressing room and seen who's what. Like they have the quality to be in the Premier League, no problem. Yeah. Swansea are tough, obviously, you know what I mean? They have a game in hand, but that game in hand doesn't bring them into that second spot. Brentford, you know what I mean? I really worry for Brentford. You know what I mean? If they're in another playoff,
Yeah, I mean, they couldn't keep it up. I mean, they were unbeaten for from October until the middle of February or something.
Yeah, they won 27 games or something.
Like they were always not going to be able to keep that up. So they have dropped off a little since then, though. They'll be disappointed again. Good time for Brentford to be taking a break, probably.
Yeah,
definitely. Yeah, and even Barnsley, like Barnsley had a surprise pack of the season. Like you look at like Bournemouth just on the edge with that game in hand. They win their next game, they leapfrogging into sixth. Like if you look at the top six, you're probably saying to yourself, right, look, that's probably realistically what we said at the start of the season. Look, these are the teams that will be in the top six, but Cardiff are still on the chase. Just an opportunity for Borough, even Millwall there. Like you know what I mean? If it's crazy, it's absolutely crazy. But that's why we love the Championship.
I mean, it can all change in the next 5 games.
Yeah.
Like if teams, if some team loses 3 of those 5 and another team wins all 5 of them.
Exactly.
Like things can change so fast. I think the only thing that's almost certain when it comes to the Championship at the minute is that Wycombe are going to be relegated and that Norwich are going to be promoted.
Yeah. Look,
other than that, everything is up for grabs, I think.
Yeah, Norwich have been brilliant, lads. Look, they haven't been, they haven't been thumping teams 8-9-0. Like Blackburn throughout the season were so good, and we thought Blackburn here looked like a different kettle of fish altogether. Like, but yeah, like Norwich have been immense. Obviously, Wycombe do look like they're going to go down. It's going to break my heart. But like, yet again, you talk about that bottom 3. You're looking at it right now, and you just can't see what's going to happen because obviously Birmingham and Coventry will probably end up in that 22nd spot.
Yeah, like that could happen. And like we said, Huddersfield could win 6 of their last 8 games, and they could easily lose 6 of their last 8 games as well.
Exactly.
So you don't know. And even Preston, I mean, if Preston don't turn this form around soon, they could be dragged down into it. They shouldn't be because there's like a good few teams between them and the bottom, but you never know.
Yeah, exactly.
It's going to be, I suppose, after another 2-3 games, we'll have a better picture of how it's going to shape up, especially once Rotherham start playing those games in hand. But yeah. And I think Norwich as well playing into their hands, as well as the fact that this group of players has been promoted before. They're not going to panic. They always say it's the hardest thing to do is get over the finish line, but they've done it before. They know how to do it. They're not going to panic about it.
No, not at all.
So, we just have a look back. So, your favourite goal of the week?
I'm going to say Jordan Rhodes' header.
Yeah. I like that one.
The first one.
Yeah. I'm going to go for Andre Gray. I just like the way that he took the ball and just ran from the halfway line with it, basically. Not the hardest goal he's ever going to score, but
there wasn't that many really stellar ones.
Not many brilliant goals, no. But what I liked about Gray one is he had like about 40 yards to think about what he was going to do with it, and sometimes you can have too much time and you blast it wide or try to be too clever with it. So I enjoyed it. The best team display, team performance.
I say Sheffield Wednesday, to be honest.
Yeah.
Sheffield Wednesday, they did well. Yeah, I'll give it to Cardiff just for the defending alone in the last 15 minutes.
Yeah, definitely. I think for me, definitely Sheffield Wednesday. And obviously, it was a Jordan Rhodes show. You know what I mean? He really sparked him.
Yeah, that's where the
local
next
derby.
I want to say Jordan Rhodes is the player of the week.
Player of the week, Jordan Rhodes for you.
Yeah, same here.
Yeah, I give it to him too. Like 2 goals for the first time in over 2 years.
Yeah. But he was just
really well.
Really good in general. The whole play of him is superb.
Yeah, he was very good, and they need that. And
I suppose
any shocks?
Sheffield Wednesday.
Yeah, Wednesday.
Sheffield Wednesday.
All around Wednesday.
I mean, given the form both teams were in, it would be kind of a shock, really.
Yeah.
So that's it, guys. International games are coming up, sadly, so we're going to be on a break ourselves until after the internationals, and then we'll be back, and it's going to be some exciting last 8 games to the season.
Yeah. Bring it on.
So again, thanks everyone for. Just thank everyone again for listening.
It's going to be a fast-paced April because it's going to be a match every 4 days.
Match every 4 days because they've got to get it finished because they have to do the playoffs after the season as well, which is another 3 games. So there you go. So, But we'd just like to thank everyone who was listening and the people who shared it around and all that. And so thanks everyone for that. And we will be back with you in a couple of weeks' time after the internationals.
Cheers.
Thanks, guys.